Supreme Court moved to block the Trump administration's position to try to put a citizenship question on the census. It was something slammed by critics as a way to scare immigrants into not getting counted. I'm joined now by NBC's Ben Collins. He covers disinformation, extremism, and the internet for NBC News. Back with me, Melanie Zanona with Politico and Jeff Mason with Reuters. So, Ben, let me start from you. And interestingly here, the federal government actually asked for help from big tech companies on this exact issue. Explain what went down and how you see Facebook's role in this.
Yeah, so this is the first census that's going to be predominantly taken online, and they know this, and they're very afraid of it. People are going to be looking for information online on how to fill it out, and if they encounter really bad information first, then it could really mess things up. Now, Facebook and Twitter specifically are very good at this. They're very good at these narrow tasks where they say,
combination of reps, resistance, and recovery that will supercharge your workout and maximize your muscle mass.
Today. And then prior back in 2014, there was more when it was being run by the Office of Refugee Resettlement. The migrants were going to places such as out in Chaparral that was being run by the Baptist Children and Family Services. So it was more controlled. At the time, we were saying about 600 people there.
Now you made the point that
is about proposed legislation killing Step Up, calling it a major loophole that the households use to shield their investments from income taxes. So here's how it works. Say an investor bought $2,000 worth of Apple stock in 1999, say it's worth about $200,000 today. If the investor would sell it today, they'd pay a capital gain on that $198,000 difference, so the total tax would be around $40,000. If, however, the investor holds onto the stock until he dies and passes it to his family, they would never pay any tax on that gain. The tax basis for the stock instantly becomes $200,000. So his heirs would only pay tax on any gain in that stock if it goes above $200,000 and they eventually sell. The result of all that, well, ownership of companies, stock, and real estate can soar in value for decades without ever being taxed. And if it's given to charity, it's never taxed at all. Tax experts say the Step Up in basis costs the government between $30 and $60 billion a year. And it also discourages the sale of stock and assets during people's lifetime. So, guys, you can see from just a top-line basis, it's hard to figure out why this exists or why it should continue to exist, especially given that there's really no effective estate tax anymore. And so a lot of these assets just getting passed either to charity or families without being taxed.
Yeah, that one, carried interest don't hear too much about anymore. That still exists as well, doesn't it?
Exactly. And this is, carried interest a much smaller. This, again, we're talking $30 to $60 billion. The estate tax only bringing around $15 billion. So a lot of people saying, look, let's get rid of the estate tax and also get rid of this loophole that would actually raise revenue and be a sort of conciliatory to both sides. But yeah, a lot of these loopholes that people talk about as blatant sort of, abuses of the tax code, they continue to exist despite efforts to get rid of them for decades.
Yeah, well, it also shows how far apart the sides are because the administration is looking for ways to mute the impact of capital gains taxes by saying if it's due to inflation, you might not owe it. So obviously not a lot of consensus on these questions, Robert.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. As we head to a quick break, getting a check on Wynn and other casino stocks, all climbing after the past week. The gambling revenues for June came in better than expected. Wynn, you see there is the outperformer up about 7.5%. His best performing stock in the S&P this morning as well. Squawk on the Street is back after this.
When I see obstacles, I create opportunities.
When I see adversity, I find a way.
When I hear never, I say now.
Southern New Hampshire University is education made to fit your goals. With over 200 degree programs, flexible class schedules, and some of the lowest online tuition rates in the nation.
So when I face barriers, I can break through.
Break through at snhu.edu.
I'm feeling good.
Make the most of your business card with Vistaprint.
I'm feeling good.
500 standard cards start at just $9.99 with code BC now.
I'm feeling good.
Own the now with Vistaprint.
Have you ever seen something so beautiful that all you could say was, wow? Beaches, Turks, and Caicos, where anything is possible because everything is included. Wow. Get up to 65% off. Call 1-800-BEACHES.
You dream, you plan, you work. Every hour, every day, every night. There is no such thing as a small business. All business is personal. How do you make a connection? How do you grow your business? We make it easy with high-quality, affordable products and innovative design tools that make it simple to promote and grow your business.
Go to gotprint.com to get 500 business cards for $8.50. Plus use promo code GP500BC to get 10% off your first order.
Introducing Jurassic World, the ride. Trying to survive the new adventure.
How many of them can sing? All of them.
Isn't that the Bobby DeBar show featuring Switch?
Is that?
You high?
I'm always high! Let me see them. Big bad Johnny. Who's gonna sing? You!
Welcome back to Squawk on the Street. Squawk Alley, of course, still to come, but Morgan Brennan is doing a lot more than just that. You got the closing bell on your plate today, too.
I do, and this guy next to me, I think, is going to join for at least 1 hour of that show, too. So we're going to be all over today's record day on Wall Street with a full slate of guests ready to break down the market moves into the close. We're also going to talk about G20 and the easing of China trade tensions with former U.S. Ambassador to China, Gary Locke. Devil's in the details. We don't have a lot of those yet, so what should investors be expecting? Plus, Blue Harbor CEO Cliff Robbins named Genesee in Wyoming as one of his top picks last month on the show. We're going to speak with him exclusively about today's deal news, which is certainly interesting given what we've seen in terms of some softness in the freight data in recent weeks and recent months.
Yeah, they're short line. I don't know. You know anything about them at all?
I do.
You do? All right, give me something quick about Genesee and Wyoming. What do I need to know?
A lot of mergers and acquisitions. They've acquired pieces of the Class 1 railroads businesses, and the fact that they're selling off now certainly could be seen by some as a potential market top.
There you go. All right.
One to argue. We got Squawk Alley up next. Don't go away.
Two in the fairway, 3 in the bunker, 4 in the bunker, over the green, on the green, 2 putts, to 5.
If you're gonna lie about your score, you may as well look good doing it. Shop great brands like William Murray Golf and check out original content at Golf's new sweet spot. Go to shopwithgolf.com.
Hi, Walter. Join us for a walk?
I'd love to, but my legs and feet are so tired and achy.
Walter, you need Revitive. It's the circulation booster. Really got me moving. I use my Revitive every day to relieve my aching legs and feet. It's so easy, drug-free, and its electrical muscle stimulation really improves the circulation in my legs. I'm back walking this guy everywhere. Check it out online.
Revitive, FDA approved, clinically tested, only Revitive doing key things, increases lifetime rich blood, and strengthens movement.
We've got to do that. Don't suffer any longer. Order Revitive now with a 60-day money-back guarantee with free shipping and free return. Order now and get some of the most popular people boosting accessories at $50 only. And save it for free. Go to Revitive.com or call 1-800-321-8205. Moving today.
It's
2015, we took a surf trip to Bali and we saw 14 different areas of what constitutes really well. We wanted to make it our mission to solve this problem, and we have. We started doing races by ourselves. Until 2017, when we started our own joint company, Full Ocean. Now, we've become the world's largest ocean cleanup company, employing approximately 7 days a week between our We've operated out of 27 different countries, and to date, we've moved over 2 million pounds of trash from the ocean. And now, we're inviting you to join the clean ocean movement. All of our cleanup efforts are funded entirely through the sale of our waste stream. The Full Ocean race is based on ocean plastic and the recycled glass bottles that we collect. Every drink that purchased helps fund the removal of one-time trash from the ocean and supports the Full Ocean cleanup movement. So visit 4ocean.com today and become part of the solution.
Weekdays noon Eastern on CNBC.
Tesla's demand and delivery pressures. For the electric car giants, Q2 numbers meet expectations or create new concerns. Squawk Box tomorrow.
Good morning. It is 8 a.m. at SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California. It is 11 a.m. here on Wall Street. Squawk Alley is live. For fundraising numbers, and Mayor Pete Buttigieg is the first of the Democratic contenders to announce his totals, and they are very big, raising nearly $25 million in the last 3 months, tripling what he brought in the 3 months before. How does that compare to the other candidates? We will have to wait and see, as the other campaigns will be likely rolling out their totals in the coming days. But make no mistake, this is a strong showing for anyone, newcomer to frontrunner. CNN's Phil Mattingly's in Washington with all of this, tracking what it means. Phil, break down the numbers for me. Give me your take. What are you seeing here? What does this mean? And what does this mean for the Democratic field right now?
Yeah, let's start with what a good rule of thumb is. When a Democratic campaign or any campaign puts out their fundraising numbers at 5:30 a.m. the day after the deadline hits, when they have another 15 days before they actually have to file, they feel pretty good about those numbers. And 24.8 million certainly gives the Buttigieg campaign a lot of reason to cheer. Now, what these numbers actually mean, if you actually start going through them, they mean a couple of things. First and foremost, Pete Buttigieg is for real. I don't think it's actually been in question for the last couple of months. He's obviously been in the top 4 or 5 of the Democratic candidates that people are looking to, both in polling, both in attention. You saw him in the debate last week. He's very clearly in the top tier of that field. But when you break down the numbers, 24.8 million. Last quarter, that's more than triple what he had in the first quarter. If you look at the first quarter of what the other Democratic candidates had, Bernie Sanders was at the top at 18.2 million. Kamala Harris below him at 12 million. Now, it's not necessarily an apples-to-apples comparison. Quarters change, obviously, as the race progresses, but it underscores just how big this number is. There's also another key thing to look at in this number, and that's the number of individual donors. In the second quarter, Pete Buttigieg boasting 294,000 individual donors. In total, about 400,000 individual donors. That's more than just kind of a bold headline number. That means that in the debate criteria going forward with the DNC, he's essentially in for the fall debates. And what this means more than anything else, one, he's put in the work. Unlike some of his Democratic colleagues or counterparts, he's been doing a lot of the traditional private fundraising events. He's also been doing a lot of grassroots events as well. And what you see is a lot of the big money Democratic donors, people who supported President Obama, people who supported Hillary Clinton, have kind of fallen in love to some degree with Pete Buttigieg. And he is raising money at an enormous clip. That means not only will he be around for a while, but it also means somebody who started with a very lean campaign and really needed to staff up in a major way on the organizing side of things in the early states like Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, South Carolina. He now has the resources to do that in spades.
Yeah, that means staying power. I like that. That's probably going to be a new slogan. Pete Buttigieg is for real. I say that all the time, though, but I'm always like, Phil Mattingly, he's for real. It's good to see you, man. Thank you.
Thanks, Kate.
One thing apparently all the Democratic candidates seem to agree on at this very moment is that Donald Trump Jr.'s retweet about Kamala Harris last week was racist. The president's son pushing out and then deleting a post questioning Harris's race. The spokesman for Don Jr. had said that his tweet was misunderstood. But folks, including the entire Democratic field, are having
none of it. CNN's Young Law is following the Harris campaign. She's running right now. Great to see you, Young. What are you hearing about this?
Well, the campaign certainly isn't buying it. The Harris campaign, that is. They think that is. Basically, what they are calling this entire tweet, this entire episode from Don Jr. is, quote, a racist attack. Now, as far as Kamala Harris herself, she is trying to float above this controversy. She wants to try to push her message. But in conversations with reporters over this weekend, she did address the online onslaught that she's seeing.
We are a nation that has a lot to be proud of, and there are aspects of our history that we cannot be proud of, and that we can also have to be investigated to make sure we're not repeating ourselves. The history of race, the history of segregation in this country is real. That conversation may make some people uncomfortable.
She did also say that, it makes people uncomfortable. It's a little difficult to hear her there because she was speaking after she was taking part in San Francisco Pride. But you know who is speaking out quite strongly are her fellow 2020 hopefuls. Take a listen to what Julian Castro and Bernie Sanders had to say.
The tweet of Donald Trump Jr. was the act of a coward. You see what they do. Put something out there, and then he deletes it so that he can say it was just a mistake.
We have a president who is a racist, and apparently based on a statement yesterday, his son is following in his footsteps.
Now, there had been some debate on whether these candidates, or even the Harris campaign itself, if they talk about this, are they amplifying it? Are they giving these types of tweets oxygen? Kate, you can clearly see that they are taking the decisive step and saying they have to take this head on. Kate?
Yeah, because otherwise you let the president's son perpetuate something. Wonder if it would have been deleted if there hadn't been such outcry. Young, thanks so much. Great to see you. Joining me right now, much to discuss here. CNN political reporter Arlette Saenz is joining me, and CNN political commentator and Democratic strategist Keith Boykin. Keith, I was getting your reaction to the Don Jr. story, even as you were just sitting here as I was talking to Young, but he says he was misunderstood, that the only thing that he wanted to highlight, that he thought was a wow thing, was that Kamala's mom was from India. Regardless, is this how this is going to go now? And because I wonder what it means for the campaign, which is not only, because as opposed to what his dad did, right? Straightforward with his birther conspiracy for years, for a very long time. And now is it just like, throw something out there, say you were misunderstood, kind of try to claw it back, but it's out there.
Well, yeah, the damage is already done to the extent that there is damage.
Right.
It's really only damaging to conservative Republican types who think that there's something wrong with being mixed race, or something is wrong with having an Indian mother and a Jamaican father. But the majority of Americans don't feel that that's a problem. They elected Barack Obama 2 times, and he was a mixed race black person as well. Donald Trump started his campaign, as you mentioned ago, his political career with a 5.5-year campaign against Barack Obama's birth certificate. He started his actual political campaign by attacking Mexicans, calling them rapists and drug dealers, and he started his ascendancy by attacking Muslims and calling for a Muslim ban.
Even if it's not surprising, it's still worthy. It still must be called out.
Unfortunately, it is where we are as a country right now. This type of racism has existed for years, long before Donald Trump or Donald Trump Jr. came along. But what the Trump people, the Trump family, the Trump campaign have done is they've normalized it. They've made it acceptable for people in the Republican establishment to say things like this and then apologize after the fact, after they've spewed their racist BS up there.
Thank you.
I'm trying to clean it up.
No, I'm impressed. I'm very, very, very impressed with your catch. Arlette, I think we've done that. Let's move on to something else, something very, very different. Second quarter fundraising numbers, Arlette. They're in. Pete Buttigieg, as Phil laid out, first release his numbers, and they're very big, $25 million, basically tripling what he pulled in the first quarter. It's big for any candidate, especially when he was virtually unknown 6 months ago. What do these numbers mean for his campaign? And honestly, what does this mean for the rest of the Democratic field? What are you hearing?
Well, Kate, it shows that Pete Buttigieg is in this for the long haul, and it ups the ante for the other Democratic candidates. The fact that he was able to turn out such a high figure when he was just an unknown mayor just a few months ago really cannot be overstated. And it also shows that Pete Buttigieg was willing to put in that work, doing those high dollar, big fundraisers that some of his opponents, like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, have strayed away from. So it'll be interesting to see if anyone tries to, shift strategy to try to match these high numbers. And we're also going to get numbers from the other candidates in the coming days. And one person to watch is Joe Biden. You'll remember just a few weeks ago at a fundraiser, he kind of hinted that he was close to having already raised $20 million. Will Biden, in this first fundraising period that he is in, will he be able to match that number that Mayor Pete Buttigieg that posted, or will he potentially get higher than that? That's something that we're going to be waiting to see in the coming days.
With so many people in the field, I do wonder if seeing this for Pete Buttigieg is some sign that the whittling of the field on the Democratic side is going to happen sooner than a lot of folks thought. A lot of folks thought the threshold for the debates in the fall was going to be what could whittle them down. But if he's pulling in 25 million this corner, there is a limit to how much money is out there.
Well, yeah, money is extremely important. It gives you the legs to keep going in your campaign. It gives you the possibility to extend the campaign even if you suffer some sort of setback or defeat. But it doesn't guarantee victory. Remember, at this point, 4 years ago, Jeb Bush had a record $114 million haul for his campaign and his PAC, his super PAC. And then Donald Trump jumped in the campaign, and Jeb Bush was a nobody suddenly. So we're still very early in the process, and I think it's important that you have this money, but you have to have a message that goes along with it. Money is good, message is better. If you have money and message, then you're on fire.
Right. Money keeps you in.
Right.
Message is what keeps you going.
Exactly.
Great to see you, Keith. Thanks so much. Arlette, thank you so much always for your good reporting. Really appreciate it. Still ahead for us, President Trump just did something no other sitting U.S. president has ever done. Set foot in North Korea. But a new report says that his administration is actually now considering sessions in North Korea that even Trump has said that he wouldn't accept when it comes to their nuclear program. Plus this, he's the son of the Democratic frontrunner. His painful history and battle with addiction is now a target of the Trump campaign. His painful history with addiction, as well as some of his past business dealings, are now a target of the Trump campaign. So why is Hunter Biden now speaking out? We'll be right back.
Thank you to the obstacles that stand in the way of our vacation. Thank you to the detours and delays and everything that gets in the way of summer. Because you remind us of our love for the open road. Summer starts now. Free at the BMW Summer on Sales event, you get up to $4,500 credit on select models now through July 31st.
When I book at Hilton.com, I get to select my room from the floor plan, free Wi-Fi, and the price match guarantee.
So with Hilton, there is no catch.
Yeah, the only catch is I'm never leaving. No, I'm serious, I live here now. Book at Hilton.com and get the Hilton price match guarantee.
In 1 week, a lot will happen in your life. Wrinkles just won't. Neutrogena Rapid Wrinkle Repair's derm-proven retinol works so fast, it takes only 1 week to reveal younger-looking skin. Neutrogena.
Cover it up. That's what I did when I started losing my hair. Now I use Keeps, the easiest way for me to keep my hair. Keeps sends me clinically proven treatments that can stop my hair loss, which means no more covering up. Go to Keeps.com to learn more.
Today, you are going to become a cook. So how do we do it? Let's just follow the directions. It's like a life hack. Can't believe we made it. It's really good.
Go to HelloFresh.com and join the #1 meal kit company. Use code TV80 to get $80 off. HelloFresh. Get cooking.
My experience with USA has been excellent. They really appreciate the military family, and it really shows.
With all that USAA offers, why go with anybody else? We know their rates are good. We know that they're always going to take care of us.
It was an instant savings, and I should have changed a long time ago.
Well, it's funny because when we would call another insurance company, they would say, "Oh, we can't be USAA."
With the Weber family,
For the tennies?
we're the Hells, and we're USAA members for life. Get your USAA auto insurance quote today.
I want to get a bar put in over there. Do you know any good contractors? Yeah, I might. Nice. Give me a bunch of quotes, check the reviews, and verify the credentials and qualifications.
You can't expect your neighbors to do everything HomeAdvisor can. So just ask HomeAdvisor.
Fidelity is redefining value. Introducing zero account fees for brokerage accounts. And zero minimums to open an account. At Fidelity, those zeros really add up.
Carvana is 6 years old this year and is the fastest growing place to buy a car in the nation. It's because we have thousands of people working hard to make our customers' experiences the best.
It's because we have tens of thousands of cars ready to be delivered to your doorstep. And it's why hundreds of thousands of happy customers have ditched the dealership and bought their car online, earning us an average 4.7 stars in the process. So if you didn't know about us before, you do now. We're Carvana, and we want to give you the car buying experience you deserve.
I have always wanted to do this. This is gonna be awesome. Let's do this!
Babe, what are you doing?
Gonna demo the bathroom. Who are you?
The bath fitter installer, remember? Bath fitter custom made our new bath to fit perfectly over the old one, so there's no demo or mess.
Impressive. Wait, so no demo? Sorry.
Bath Fitter will remodel your bath with no messy demolition in as little as 1 day. Call now or visit bathfitter.com for a free in-home consultation.
At Leaf Filter, we're on a never-ending journey to end gutter cleaning forever. Whoa! Way too dangerous, Bill. Say goodbye to that ladder. Way too clogged, Melissa. Those black gutters are causing serious damage to your home. Look at these cracks in your foundation. Leaf Filter, the nation's #1 rated gutter protection system, will keep you safe and protect your home. Leaf Filter's stainless micromesh screen fits over your existing gutters and is guaranteed to filter out everything except for water. No more leaves or debris in your gutters for the life of your home. Schedule your free gutter inspection and estimate, just like Paul. With Leaf Filter's lifetime warranty, we guarantee you'll never have to clean those nasty gutters again. Everybody okay with that?
Oh,
I
yeah.
sure am. Call 833-LEAF FILTER or go to getleaffilter.com for your free gutter inspection and estimate. Act now and save 15% off your purchase.
Closed captioning brought to you by Mesobook.com.
Mesothelioma is all we do. For over 10 years, we have offered a free book on mesothelioma. Call 1-800-259-9374.
History was made this weekend. President Trump taking a step no other sitting U.S. president has before, walking into North Korea in a wild made-for-TV moment, one that both leaders claim was sparked by a Twitter invitation from Trump to Kim Jong-un. And after that, the president may be set to walk back, actually, his long-held demand for North Korea to agree to complete denuclearization. The New York Times is reporting that the Trump administration is considering a deal that asks the North Korean dictator to freeze his nuclear program, a deal that would tacitly then accept that the North is a nuclear power. That's something that the president has said. To this point, he would definitely not accept.
And the big thing is it will be a total denuclearization, which has already started.
I wanted them to denuke, and they wouldn't do the full. They wanted to do some. And I guess a lot of people would have said that's a great start, but I just didn't feel it was right.
I'd just like to see ultimately denuclearization of North Korea.
Let's get the very latest on what exactly happened this weekend, what it means for nuclear talks going forward. CNN's Will Ripley is in Seoul right now. It's great to see you, Will. What are you hearing about the meeting and this new reporting from the New York Times in what the White House is considering?
Okay, well, first of all, yeah, it was noteworthy that President Trump never once said the word denuclearization when he was standing next to Kim Jong-un. Here in Seoul, the South Korean government obviously very happy to see diplomacy back on track. Still no official response, though, to this New York Times reporting that the Trump administration may consider this dramatic shift in policy, allowing North Korea to keep dozens of nuclear warheads and presumably the ballistic missiles that could deliver them to the U.S. in exchange for a promise not to build more weapons. That's something the U.S. had said before would never accept. Is this changing now? Well, South Koreans might argue, at least some in this country, that that's only the most realistic option when dealing with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. I mean, I've been to Pyongyang many times, and officials always told me for years they would never give up the nuclear weapons that arguably have gotten them to this point in terms of leveraging a deterrent, as they view it, a deterrent from attack by other countries. The number one enemy for years was the United States. Whether that is potentially now shifting, whether the U.S. is saying North Korea can keep the arsenal, can freeze, well, if you listen to a tweet by the National Security Advisor John Bolton, well, he says he certainly hasn't heard about that idea. He is one of the most hawkish members of the Trump administration when it comes to North Korea. He was tweeting from Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, where he was meeting with the Secretary of State there talking about security, saying it was, the New York Times article was a reprehensible attempt by someone to box in the president. basically saying he doesn't agree with an idea that might very well be floated around right now inside the administration. Bolton, by the way, was noticeably absent from President Trump's meeting at the DMZ. The North Koreans have called him human scum. They want him as far away from the negotiations as possible. Is President Trump listening to other elements now in his administration, Kate, that would encourage him to allow Kim Jong-un to keep his nukes for now and call that progress, even after saying from the beginning of this whole process that they would only accept complete, verifiable, irreversible denuclearization?
A real question. Great to see you, Will. Thank you. Joining me right now to try to help us answer this question is former Democratic governor, former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Bill Richardson, who's negotiated with the North Koreans many times, and Ambassador Bill Burns, who's Deputy Secretary of State under President Obama. He played a key role in negotiating the nuclear deal with Iran. He also was a former ambassador to Russia. Thank you both for being here. Ambassador Richardson, looking at this reporting from the New York Times, what would a freeze mean here?
Well, what a freeze would be is basically something that this administration has said they would reject. It would mean they keep all their existing weapons. North Korea may have up to 60 nuclear weapons, all their missiles, all of their technology. It would basically be ratifying that North Korea is a nuclear state. So it would be after 3 summits, after these enormous propaganda, positive news for both leaders, it would be basically a reaffirmation of the status quo.
It would still be vulnerable to